Hi guys, Ann here, and today we have like a little sit down coffee talk kind of video. Let me go get my coffee. Hold the phone. This is my coffee mug right here. I think this is a Rachel Dunn coffee mug. And that reminds me very quickly, I already started doing some merch with coffee. I was going to say coffee pots, coffee mugs. So that's coming very, very soon. Anywho, I am so excited. I put this in a community post. I finally figured out how to take the noise out in the background so you don't hear the AC. So watch it don't work now, but I was testing it out all day yesterday with like doing 15, 20-second like little clips, and it actually worked. And I'm so excited because let me just tell you, when on my beauty channel, the Just Ann channel, when it's hot out in the summer, what I would do is, because I have two windows right here, and over here is where this window has the AC in, and I have the window air conditions, right? And I would turn the air conditioner off so it wouldn't be so loud, and I would be sweating my ass off. Like right now, it's 3:32 in the afternoon. Today's Monday, and it's like hot. And, I'm up in the attic, so it's always like 10, 15 degrees hotter, especially with the humidity. So that is so exciting. So let me know in the comments if you can hear the air conditioner or not. Let me know what you guys think about it. Anywho, I did get ready with me putting on this makeup. So if that is something you're interested in, I always leave my beauty channel. It's like a beauty / unboxing channel in the description box, but I'll also pin a comment. So if you're interested on how I did this makeup look. All right, so now let's get to the meat and potatoes. I've been thinking about this for a while. I did a video on this before when I first started this channel, but it's coming up. My 20-year sobriety is coming up in August. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just talk about this and talk about my background and how I got into drugs. Well, my choice of drug was alcohol. And then when I would get really like wasted, they call it white girl drunk, I wanted to do a little bit, harder stuff. And I did crack. I smoked it, let's just keep it real. Crack cocaine. There's nothing, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. That's the truth. So let me take it back. So when I was growing up, well, first of all, my father died when I was 6 years old. He was only 33 when he died, same age as Jesus. And he had an issue with drugs, heroin, meth, but he was also a huffer, and, he passed away. I don't remember him. My mother and my father were married, but I just turned 6. He passed away. I always say June, but it's July 26th. And my birthday's in April. So I literally just turned 6, but my mother and him were separated because, he was very abusive. At least that's what I'm told. And he died in 1982. So back then, the cops and stuff didn't really get involved with domestic violence. And there wasn't a lot of places like there is now to go. So if you called the cops and, you're married, you're legally married, they'll just let your husband back in. So my mom we used to run, go to different states and stuff like that. So I didn't see him. I don't remember him. I have a picture of him, like his graduation picture. I have one other picture of him. I don't even remember taking it with him. And I don't remember him. But, I hear, he was a really, really nice guy. He used to build motorcycles from scratch. He was a masonry, or however you say it. He's really good with his hands, and he just had an issue. And he had found out and how he started using drugs. He was getting married to his first wife, and they were only married just for a little bit. They didn't have any kids together. And back then, you needed your baptism papers and everything else like that. And that's when he found out he was adopted. Now, he always felt, and I'm only going again what my mother and my family told me, he always felt a little different, but he never knew. So he was adopted by his mother's sister. Okay. She died. So his real mother, my real grandmother, died of tuberculosis. Back then it was going around, and, a lot of people died from it. And so that was hard for him. And then he wanted to know who his father was. and that nobody would ever tell him who his father was. So he actually died not knowing who his father was. But because of that is when he started using drugs. So I always say, like, my maiden name wouldn't really be my maiden name. It's in a family, but it's not really that. And so I don't know my dad's side of the family. And I really want to do one of those DNA tests where you can see what you are, and what other nationalities I have in me, if that makes sense. So let me know if you'd be interested in seeing a video of me getting it, swabbing it, and then when it comes back, I'll put it all in one video of it, and I'll tell you like what I am. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. So addiction runs in my family. And then on my mother's side, that's where it runs very, very hard. I mean, my aunts, my uncles, cousins, but my mother. So when I was growing up, my mother was on drugs. I remember a time I was like 8 or 9 years old, and my brother, if I was 9, my brother was 10, almost 11. And I remember my mother laying on the couch, and we were trying to wake her up. We couldn't wake her up, and we're thinking she's dead. I called my aunt. My aunt didn't live that far away, and she comes over. She takes me and my brother, and I was always told my mom was sick. So I always thought my mom was going to die, and every time growing up, my mother always said, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die, and that's horrible. There is another YouTuber, I'm getting off track right now, that always says that, and she tells her kids, and that is the worst thing you could ever do. That's why, like with me, with my sickness, you guys know, with the heart attack and my health issues, when I'm not feeling good, I just stay up here in my room. My kids never know. They don't know. I kind of like I play it off about my sickness. Like, they know I'm diabetic. They know I have heart issues, but they don't really know how bad it is. I never want to put that in them where they're always worrying. You know what I mean? And as I got older, then my mother, she just got into pills. I mean, she would get 180 Xanax, and within less than a week, they'd all be gone. Anything you could think of, any pills, she just had an issue with. Now that I'm older, I understand. I understand, like, it was her upbringing, what had happened to her with her stepfather, the grandfather that's not biologically mine that I tell you about. Dealing with my father and different things. I get it, And then towards the end, my mother died at the age of 66. She was on hospice. And I was so angry because there were times my mother did not have to die. My mother could still be here. But because she was so addicted to pain medicine and everything else, when she would get like walking pneumonia or bronchitis, she wouldn't take anything. When different things would happen, she didn't want to take it. She was diagnosed with celiac disease, and she would still eat gluten and everything so that they had her on a feeding tube. They didn't understand what was going on. She wanted to keep that so that she can keep getting her patches. And, it's just a vicious cycle. And, then when it got too bad where she needed to be put on hospice, what do you say when you're a drug addict, right? It's like she needs it, but she liked it as well, So she wanted to stay on hospice. She wanted to stay on medicine. And, I was very angry when my mom passed, but now, I get it. And this is nothing negative on my mother's part. It's just, I just wanted to explain why I was so angry. And I think that with grief, that's what you do. Sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're not. But now I understand. My mother was very depressed, and she would tell me she didn't want to be here. And I get it. I understand. But anyway, so like I said, my aunts, my uncles, it's just a lot of people on my mother's side has an addiction issue. So I started drinking. I started acting up because, like I said, with my mother, and when I was like 13 or 14, I wouldn't even come home. People talk about how they would like sneak out of the house and stuff. I never ever snuck out of the house. I just walk out the front door. I didn't have to sneak out. My mother was like, she wanted me to go to my friend's house and be out so she could do whatever she was doing. Now, remember, at that age, I always thought she was sick. I didn't realize there was an issue, because I didn't get that attention and stuff. I started hanging around the wrong crowd, in high school and stuff, and going out and drinking and all that type of stuff. And I liked it. I liked drinking, and I liked hanging with the friends I hung with because they're the ones that gave me attention. I didn't have that attention. I also had some childhood trauma that I never got over. And you guys know, even as an adult, there's things that I still haven't got over. I'm getting better. I'm learning how to deal with it now. I am seeing somebody, but it was very hard, especially as a child. And so I drank for many years. I never drank, I didn't like liquor, right? Because when I would drink, first of all, I didn't like the taste. So if I had vodka like this much would be orange juice. I never liked the taste, but I was also one of those ones that I got very nasty. If I was at a bar, I would be like, bitch, what the fuck are you looking at? You know what I'm saying? I was like that. People would be mad at me, my friends, when I'd wake up and I'm like, don't remember anything. Like, what are you guys mad at? So I had to stay clear from liquor, but I like beer. My choice of drug was Coors Light. Now I show you this picture all the time. I was like 120 pounds soaking wet. And I would drink a 30 pack of Coors Light by myself, as skinny as I was. By myself. I was the type I had to drink and drink until I passed out. I would not stop. And I was like that for many years. I was in abusive relationships and different things. And then one day, I just got out of a relationship and it was very abusive. I mean, this person put 13 staples in the back of my head from hitting me over the head with a 40-ounce bottle. I mean, it was really bad. And Lexi was 11 months old. So if you don't know, I have 3 kids. I had my first one when I got pregnant at 18. I had it when I was 19. Lexi, I was 23, and Isaiah, I was 28. I lived in the projects raising my children, right? And I remember this friend of mine, we'll call her Sally. And she had done drugs. She was a little bit older than me, but she did drugs all the time. But she was one of those ones that can still go to work, take care of her family, cook dinner, all of that stuff, And I knew she smoked the crack coke, I knew that. And I remember I used to take her because we worked the same shift. So I would take her back and forth to work. And we had got paid. And I remember she asked me if I can take her, stop by somebody's house. And I knew what she was getting. And you know how I was at that time. So I took her, and I never touched any type of drug. I mean, I tried different things, but little things like acid when I was younger, didn't like it, I didn't really smoke weed, or I never really tried pain pills at that time. It was just alcohol was my choice of drug. I remember she came over a couple hours later, and she was like, and I'd already been drinking. I didn't have my children, my mother had them. Because I didn't have Isaiah at the time. So my mother had Tyler and Lexi. And she comes over, like I said, I was drinking, and she asked me if I wanted to try a piece. And I'm like, no. I mean, I thought about it, but I'm like, nah, I'm good. And she's like, oh, okay. That was that. And then she was just drinking with me or what have you. She would go to her house and take a hit or whatever she would do. Then she'd come back or what have you. Well, maybe about a couple weeks later, again, didn't have my kids. She comes over and she asked me again. And I thought about it and I was like, yeah, let me try it. And the reason why I wanted to try it, because I wanted to see what it was like, what my mother and father liked about it. Why did they choose drugs over me? What was it? My first hit, oh my God, was the best feeling in the world. I'm going to tell you, the best feeling. Now, mind you, you can never get that feeling back again, but I loved it. And that's all she wrote. Now, I never did any type of drug without drinking, because alcohol was always my choice of drug. So when I would drink, now not when I would just drink, I would always do that. But when I didn't have my children, when I wanted to party, because I always started drinking when my kids were asleep. Let's keep it real. I mean, now Tyler's 28, Lexi's going to be 24 next month. We're talking about almost 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, okay? They were little and they would go to sleep. They didn't know. They don't even know now, don't even remember me drinking. There were times I would spend $400 or $500 in one night. Again, we're going back many years ago, so that was a lot of money back then. I never blamed Sally. Yeah, she asked me, but she never, once I said no, it was like, fine. When she asked me again, if I would have said no, she would have been like, okay. Once I tried that first time, I was the one that would go to her all the time. Come on, let's go get something. Let's go. Let's do this, you know? So it was me. It wasn't her. And I had a problem. I really did. And what made me stop was I got pregnant with Isaiah. Anytime I was pregnant, I never drank or anything, you know. When I was pregnant with Tyler and Lexi, I never touched any drugs or anything. But once I found out I was pregnant, I always stopped my drinking. So when I found out I was pregnant with Isaiah, same thing, didn't do anything. Went my pregnancy, and then he was 3 weeks old, and now I'm fiending because it's been a while. I haven't done anything. I was able to do a cold turkey because I was pregnant, and I knew I couldn't do that, you know? I started drinking. And then I wanted more of a high. Sally comes over. I'm the one who called her. She brings her daughter over who was 14. And Isaiah was 3 weeks old. And he was downstairs and her daughter was watching him. So it wasn't like he was in the room. I didn't have my other two kids. And we got high. And I can hear Isaiah crying downstairs. And he was effing up my high. And I was getting mad. And Sally was the one who was like, come on, let's just stop. And I'm like, no, you know, it was me. Well, let's just keep it real. The next day, the guilt that I had, I never touched the hard drug again. The guilt that I had. I said, I never want to be like my mother or my father. And I stopped. When it came to the point, because I never did a hard drug when I had any of my children. Ever. Now, I'm not going to say I didn't drink, but I never, ever did that. And the fact that I did that when he was only 3 weeks old and he was crying, and that still didn't make me stop. I said, I can't do it again. So then what did I have to do? I had to change people, the people that you hang with, right? And I told Sally, look, I can't hang with you no more. She didn't understand. She was like, well, we don't have to do that. And I said, it's not that. The only time that we ever hung together, we would get high. And so when you're around, that's the first thing I think of. Not that you did anything wrong. I just have to do it for myself. And she got it. She was very hurt. She understood. And just to say this, she's clean too. I've seen her a few times, and her husband, they're still married. They have a house. She's got a bunch of grandkids, and she's been clean for many years as well. So, but I still can't hang with her. Because it just brings back that memory. You know what I mean? Even though she's clean, it's just not good for me. Now, it took me a couple more months to stop drinking alcohol. Just like 2 more months. So I think October will be the 20 year for that. So my kids don't know anything. They don't remember. I'm so blessed. I broke that cycle. I remember when Isaiah was younger, he used to say to me like, girls don't drink beer. Because he never seen me do it, you know? Isaiah's 19. He'll be 20 July 19th. He don't drink. He's into health. I even asked him, I was like, when you go with your friends, do you drink? He's like, no, Mom. He was like, I don't even want to taste it, you know, or anything. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't do anything, you know, and it's just a blessing. My kids either, they don't really drink or anything like that. You know, maybe they smoke weed here and there, but it's legal in Jersey. But I have such good kids, and I'm so proud that I broke that cycle. I mean, I've seen like my cousin would get high with his mother, my aunt. I mean, when he was an adult, but it's like, I don't understand. I don't know. What I'm saying is, not that I'm judging. Maybe I am. I don't know, but it is a very vicious cycle. And when I was drinking, like I said, when I hung with the wrong crowd, this is when I hung with people in the gang and all that type of stuff. I was never in one. And I did a lot of bad things, guys. Oh my God, so many things. I mean, the worst thing was, well, like I can say getting caught, because I did a lot of bad things. I didn't get caught. But I think getting caught was my gun charges. We were doing a drive-by. Cop right behind us. Can't get out of that. It's just sad, you know? And once I changed that about me and I stopped hanging with people and just everything, my life started changing for the better. So when I got clean, I worked on myself. I wasn't with a guy or anything until I met my husband, well, my ex-husband. So Isaiah was what, 5 years old, I just really worked on myself. And the reason why I'm sharing the story is to tell you, like, you can do it if you have that problem. You can do it. Look at me. If you guys would have known me, oh my God, if there was internet back then, I would be canceled. I was the type of person you did not want your kids to be around. You didn't. If I was mad with you, and I say this all the time, my hand to God, oh, that's my left hand because I'm left-handed, my right hand, my hand to God. If I was how I was back then and I had beef with you online, I promise you it would not be pretty. I promise you. And I don't care if you had kids in your house or not. That's how I used to be. All I had to do was make one phone call. That's nothing to brag about. What I'm saying is the type of person I was then, people can change. And if it wasn't for people giving me second and third chances, I would not be the person I am today or where I am today. And I had a praying mother and grandmother. Even though my mother did things, she still prayed for me. And my mother was a good mother. She had a problem, but I never went to bed hungry. Our lights never got cut off. She was a good mother. Very good. She loved me. She helped me raise my kids. She helped me do so much. She was my best friend, you know? So do what you got to do. Not everybody can do it cold turkey. Trust me, I know. If you have to go to meetings, rehab, anything, but you can do it. You have to want to do it. That's how I got clean, because I wanted to. Years prior to that, I didn't want to. I didn't, I don't care if a judge threatened me or whatever to put me back in jail. When you don't want to, you don't want to. If you do a program because you're forced, you're not going to stay clean. And remember, don't judge, and what I learned, let me just say this too. What I learned from trying it, I wish I never did, but I don't regret it, because I realized my mother didn't choose drugs over me. It was the drug. That's like the devil. I get that more than you'll ever know. And that's what made me change how I felt, because I thought my mother didn't love me. I thought she chose drugs over that. My father, why, he could have still been here, But it's not that. It's the damn drugs. Trust me. They call your name. You don't want to be sick, That's a whole nother story, but just know that if you ever felt like you weren't loved, that somebody chose drugs over you, that's not what it was. That's not, I'm telling you, somebody from experience, that is not what it was or is. All right, I'm going to get off of here. Please like this video if you like story times. I'll do some more story times. Let me know in the comments what can make these story times a little bit better. If more detail do you need or what have you, let me know. I was nervous to tell this story, but let me know what can help with these story times. Don't forget to leave a comment. Commenting really does help out with engagement, even if it's just an emoji. It would mean the absolute world to me. Don't forget, I have a beauty channel. If you want to see how I did this makeup look, I will leave it down below. I'm going to go downstairs with Nala. Nala don't want no parts of me right now. I'm going to take her outside and go downstairs and edit these videos. So, all right, guys. Stay beautiful, stay blessed, stay healthy, and most importantly, always stay you. Never let somebody take you out of character. Do as I say, not as I do. All right, bye, guys. You ready? You being such a good girl? Are you doing the army crawl? Very good. Pretty girl. All right. Bye.